Greetings and welcome to another First Taste episode. Now, it has been quite some time since I've recorded one of these, but in this one we're going to be taking a look at a fascinatingly fun game by the name of From the Depths, which has been suggested to me by quite a few viewers actually. This game is in an early stage of development. It is in alpha and it's available through Steam's early access. It is developed by Brilliant Skies Limited, which I believe is a one-man operation, and in the words of the developer, is a physics-driven warfare game where you design and build your own vehicles and use them to wage war against other similarly designed vehicles. Now, it may not be immediately apparent, though perhaps you can see it a little bit. This is just basically an AI pitched battle going on in the background there as a form of a menu screen. But the bots, or rather the vehicles, are built in a block style, much like Minecraft, much like Robocraft. And in fact, if the description of the game so far sounds a lot like Robocraft, that is because, well, the game is a little bit like Robocraft. And yet, where Robocraft travels the busy highway of competitive match-based bot destruction, From the Depths takes a more thoughtful, slower-paced voyage through the oceans of real-time strategy with a hint of RPG thrown in as well. Though that's an enormous oversimplification of both games. So let's jump into this and I can show you what I mean. But before we do touch on anything, I do want to say, again, as this is in alpha, there are going to be things that change. There are also going to be things that aren't in the game. There are going to be things that are in the game but aren't in the game. And probably the best way to show you that is in the character sheet. As you can see, quite a lot of these things are not yet implemented. There are some. And this is primarily where the RPG aspect comes from, in that you've got levels, experience, attribute points that you can assign that will affect the gameplay, which will affect the gameplay in much greater ways later on in development when a lot more of the actual fun parts of the game have been implemented. You can unlock different items, you can unlock skills. There's not a lot there right now. You can choose your fleet colors. These all come into play when you're actually in the game and fighting the story missions, or even in the procedural open-ended campaign. You've got two different avatars to select from. I prefer the Rambot because it's a little bit easier to control, but I imagine the Scuttlebot, as you can see from the description here, is a hovering robot. It can fly, more or less, would be more useful. But I'm fairly attached to having legs that are themselves attached to the ground, though that isn't quite true of the Rambot. It has rocket legs. But you can unlock different types of components that you can use in building. Not many of them yet, but you unlock these through story missions, and we're going to go and check some of those out in a moment. There are a couple of options here. If you are interested in the multiplayer option, there is multiplayer in the game right now. I haven't had an opportunity to play around with that much yet, and it is still in a very early stage of development. But work is really focused on the multiplayer aspect of the game at the moment, and updates come thick and fast from this developer. If it is a one-man operation, as I suspect it is, massive props to this guy, because he does a lot of work and it has made a fantastically fun game so far. But I'm not going to be touching on that right now. It is there. It's in a very early stage, so it's probably buggy, connection issues, that sort of thing. I think focus right now is on the multiplayer co-op designer, so you can both be designing a robot together. But we're going to focus on single player for this episode, because this is what I've got the experience with. Now, the vehicle designer is basically creative. You go in there, you can design a vehicle, and you can save the vehicle, which you can then use for story missions. The knowledge base is basically links to wiki and also links to videos, quite a lot of them YouTube videos, which show how to use the different components. And I actually quite like this as a way of showing you something. There are tutorial missions, which you go in there and it will literally walk you step by step through how to make a certain thing, like a sub, or how to build a gun, or this and that. But there are quite a few videos as well that will literally just go over how to, how to build a laser weapon. And By the way, all of the weapons you make yourselves as well. You don't just make the bots and then just slap a railgun on. No, no, no. You build the railgun, and you might build the barrel in different ways. You'll put different ammunition there. Likewise, the missiles, which are fantastic, by the way. You build a missile bay of a certain length, and then you design a missile that will be used in that bay. It's very, very cool. Now, when you first start out, you're not going to have access to the campaign. That only unlocks once you've got level 4. So you have to play some of the story missions. And a lot of these aren't there yet. Again, with an alpha game, it is to be expected a little bit. But these are being added in. The names of these missions, these are actually the factions that you'll see in the campaign. Because you play the campaign against 8 enemy factions. We've got the Deepwater Guard, the Onyx Watch, White Flayers, Twin Guard, Lightning Hoods, Steel Striders, Grey Talons, and Scarlet Dawn. Only 3 of them have any missions in them, and you get to the later missions by completing the earlier ones. We've got the Onyx Watch, which only has 1 there. The Deepwater Guard, Blockade Run, and Making Ends Meet. Now, I will be honest, I haven't played even all of these, despite there being so few, because really, I use this as a means of getting my level so I can get to the campaign mode, which I have spent stupid amounts of hours in. For a little while, for several days in fact, I basically recorded nothing because I was too busy playing this game, damn it. It sucked all my life away. It's like Eve. Now, Blockade Run Adjutant. It's time you had your first taste of operations. If you can't tell why I pronounced it like that, it's because I don't know what the word means. Our hunter-killer fleet left an Onyx Watch fleet crippled yesterday. I need you to break through their blockade and reach the remains of the fleet. A successful salvage haul on this mission might see you with your own command one day. Ah, fantastic. Now, the Admiralty allocation is basically how many points and resources you can spend on your bot, because you have to design it. There are a couple that you can take with you. You can go over it a little bit as well, because you can see my previous best. I actually went in there with quite a lot more than I really should have, but it's still counted as a win. It will prevent you from going too far over, but I'll show this to you a little bit more. Now, break through the line. Build the fastest ship you can and break through their line. You'll be an embarrassment to me if you die. Well, it won't really matter to me if I'm an embarrassment to you. I'll be dead. Capture the Ocelot salvage ship. Once through the line, you'll need to find the Ocelot salvage ship. It ran out of fuel on the way back from the strike, and we believe it's still out there. Undetected. Capture it to win the mission. That is a flagrant lie. It is detected, and it is under attack, so you can't take too long. Now, you will gather EXP for doing this, but the way you gather EXP is generally for doing damage to the enemy, and that's not really what you're meant to do in this mission. And I'm fairly certain that if you just do the mission the way it wants you to, then you will gain access to later missions, which will make it easier to gain EXP because you'll do a lot of damage in them. But being the person that I am, I jumped into the mission. In fact, we're going to jump into the mission now. This is with a bot that I've actually completed the mission with, or rather farmed enough EXP that I could go and do other things. It's my little sub. I built all of this. I'm intensely proud of my little sub. It is currently sinking to the bottom of the water like a good little sub should. And this is me with my rocket feet sitting on my captain's chair. Now, if you hit tab, you can go into different camera modes. So I'm just going to come out here and show you a bit of what's going on. Now, we've got a bomber up there that's being a bit of a pest, and we've got a hover ship over there with balloons. Yes, that's right. You can have like hover balloon ships, very, very steampunky. That's shooting cannons into the sky. I'm not quite sure why. And we've got a couple of ships over here. Over there is the thing that is apparently not detected. These little blue lines right now is the AI saying, I can see you. I'm going to try and shoot you if I get a chance. Oh dear. That's a volley heading for me. I hope it doesn't hit me. It won't. I'm under the water. But we have to get over there. Now, I am going to show you how to design the ship. But first, just to give you a bit of an idea, can I even find myself at this point? I suppose I could by just hitting tab again. And that fixes my camera on my avatar. That's why it looks a little bit odd, because it tries to fix the camera at the distance that you set the camera in free camera mode. So you hit tab again, and there we are. It's now locked at that distance. But I just wanted to show you what is expected of us in here. But we're gonna go back to the main menu, because I'm not gonna play around with this ship. It's not a fast ship. It won't actually be able to complete the mission in the way it should. It's more for doing damage sneakily and farming EXP. Right, so we go to single player, we go to vehicle designer. Now this is the meat and bones of this game in both campaign mode and story mode. And here we are in the vehicle designer, and there are my rocket feet down there. Let's pull up the camera a little bit so we can see what's going on. Now, I'm going to quickly go over a couple of the things that you can see on screen. First and foremost, down in the bottom left are the weapon control groups. These really won't make much difference to you until you've got turrets and various things. But understand that these are not your personal weapons. That's down the bottom. Pistol and binoculars. These are the vehicle weapons. Over on the bottom right, we have the three little icons and bars. The top one is ammo, the second one down is fuel, and the last one is the power in your engine. We don't have any of those right now. Up in the top right, we have three buttons. R toggles my ability to repair with my repair tentacles. Don't ask me why I have repair tentacles. I'm a robot. I don't get to make those decisions. Whoever made me decided I absolutely needed repair tentacles. 2 of, in fact. And who am I to question them? But R toggles that on. B can toggle you into build mode. I'll do that in a moment. And Tab, as we've already discussed, does the camera. Now, we have resources down the right as well. Currently, all of them are in infinite because we're in free build mode, effectively. We're in creative. There's no limit to that. But in story mode, and especially in the campaign, these are limited, and you have to mine for them using your fortresses in order to gather resources so you can continue to build new ships. But let's get to the really interesting stuff. Oh, really? Is it going to rain? It's going to rain while I'm doing this? The gods have spoken. They are displeased with me for some reason. Now, what we are going to want to do when you're in build mode, there are two ways of building. The one I'm in right now is the default one, and honestly, I think once you learn to use it, it's a lot more powerful than the alternative mode, which is more kind of like Minecraft, and you build wherever you're looking. I don't like this one. It feels weird now that I'm used to the control that I have with this particular build mode. Once in build mode though, you can see a lot of information on the right there. E for inventory, hold tab for upside down placement, G to lock rotation, allowing key control, N for mirror. Now N is extremely important. Boom. I've just placed a mirror, and we can see that little glowing line there is the symmetry line down the middle of my ship. Now if I build anything on this side, it builds it on the other as well. Now, right now I'm placing wood blocks, and it's actually useful to have placed those because because they're just completely disconnected, they're more like pillars. They are actually building pillars with connected textures, whereas if it's got something near to it, it'll change the texture, and a lot of the different types of blocks have that kind of effect. Now, the top ones blew up there when I removed the bottom ones. This is all modeled. This is quite in-depth the way it simulates the physics. Collisions happen, collisions are damaging. Bear that in mind when you're building stuff. But back to what we're here for. There are a lot of tabs here. There are lots of things that you can build. I will not have even remotely close to enough time to even scrape the surface of most of these tabs. So I'm not going to try. But suffice it to say, there are lots of things that you can do. You can do really complicated things. The things that are most interesting to me are not building with blocks. I mean, you just build the basic structure. But you have water, air control, things like that. These are mostly to do with actually setting up the controls for the ship. Water has propellers and other things that are specific to water vehicles. Air has jets, wings, things specific to air vehicles. Resources are more for fortresses, where you can build your means of gathering resources, but also storing them. And we're going to need some of these for our vehicle here. Engines is really cool, because you build the engines out of the engine block, crankshaft, cylinders, carburetor, supercharger, exhaust. You make the engine, and the way you make it will define how efficient it is, or even if it works at all. Simple weapons, miscellaneous. Simple weapons are actually pretty cool, because you can just slap them on your ship and they'll work. You can have a ram, does exactly what it says on the tin. You ram it into things, it damages them. Small cannons, large cannons, they're basic little cannons. In fact, I'll give you a quick demonstration. There you go. That's a cannon on the side, and while I'm next to it, I can have it shoot at things. I'm not going to use one of those just yet. I may actually put some on this boat, but I will be using something in this. I'm going to be using the drill. A green button means there's more to it. You'll get more things. But we actually build this weapon. You build it from the ground up with its own little engine and different drill bits on top. I like drilling into ships. It's very, very satisfying. But there are lasers. There are all sorts of little things that you can have. They're seeking missile launcher. Wow, really? I didn't know that you could just build a missile launcher. That's fantastic. But talking about missiles, you can build missiles. And as I've mentioned, you can build missiles bit by bit. So you build the missile bay, and then you build the missiles that'll go into that bay, and they'll be rearmed from your ammo supplies. But you can design very, very efficient missiles, short range, high explosive. You can make ones that you can just fire in a direction, they'll eventually find something to destroy, and they'll pick their own target, that sort of thing. Custom cannons, you can make incredibly complicated and extremely powerful weapons with this one. Again, I'm probably not going to have enough time to go over this, but I may do a second video that'll go into this a bit more. But for now, we're gonna skip everything else, the AI and all these other things, because we're not going to be building a ship with AI. We're going to be building a boat. And we're going to start off with a humble design. We're going to make this boat a little bit longer than it currently is. Let's make it about that long, I think. We are also going to want to press R when over a block. Normally R would toggle my repair tentacles. That's always going to seem wrong when I'm saying my repair tentacles. That's just what. But in build mode, it allows you to copy the block that you're currently over. Now, if I position this block so that it has a border around it, so right now it does, and then look into it so that that border is on the same sort of plane as the block, and then press F, it should fill it in. Unless I've done something wrong. No? Oh, really? Oh, there we are. I couldn't fill her in because I wasn't next to anything. It does need a border because it needs a boundary, and you need to be right up against the boundary by the looks of it for it to trigger. Now, we've got the basics of a boat here. Not a particularly good one, but it is our boat. Right, we'll start off by building out more of a shape to it. Let's also put some more wood there and out at the front here. Now that little bit, actually, let's go back and place that and just delete these bits. There we go. So we are gradually putting together an actual shape of the boat, but you notice there's water coming in all the times because we haven't built this very well yet, so it's not particularly buoyant in the right sorts of ways. We can want to continue building this out to the side though, in my opinion, and we'll bring that out like this. There we go, and this will be the head of the ship here. Well, it's not a particularly nice shape. I suffer from the same things that I suffer in Robocraft, in that I like it to have a nice shape. But you can see the connected textures there from wood, which is quite nice. All different materials have different types of connected textures, depending on the situations. Let's just finish off there. And we'll also have a little bit of wood there so I can attach a rudder. Now down here you'll notice there's a little lead block, and this is good for the keel. Let's get that going down there. Now that should help keep this ship in the water. In fact, let's go all the way along and just make a full keel there. That should help pull this down. But as you can see, much more of this boat now is in the water. And that's not particularly good because I'm going to want my engine there. So if we go to water, we go to air pump, then we are going to be able to add some buoyancy and also pump all of the water out of this section. Now the air pump specifically looks through this section and tries to get rid of the water, you'll still see some watery effects, but by and large, the water is no longer in this little wooden part in here, which is exactly what we want. Now, we are building a boat with the intention of being particularly fast. But I don't really like that idea myself. I don't think we should be cowards. It is the best idea to be cowards, and if you're playing this yourself, I urge you to do exactly what the tutorial tells you to do. I didn't, and I had a lot of fun, but I am a madman, a crazy fool, and you should do everything in your power not to end up like me. There we go. Now, what I'm doing here is actually, I'm going a little bit fast. Let me go over this. Engine block. I've done this a lot myself, so I do apologize for just rushing through that there. Now, this is the key piece of every customizable engine. Place the crankshaft directly in front of this block, as it only connects forwards. An engine will use its own internal fuel supplies with a 2x boost in fuel efficiency. It's really important to have its own fuel supply rather than the engine just pulling out of the fuel supply of the rest of the vessel. And talking about fuel supply, I'll actually place some fuel in. So we want some fuel storage tanks. I'm going to place them down here at the side here. So we'll place... That is plenty of fuel. And you'll notice the bars are filled up now with red to show that right now we've got a lot of fuel, and also our engine is not in the remotest way taxed by anything because nothing's actually drawing power. So it's at full power capacity. Now back to the engine. The crankshaft is what we built off this. It's basically the spine of the engine. I'm not really sure whether you'll understand anything about engines. I certainly don't know that much about engines. So apologies if it sounds like I'm trying to teach my grandmother to suck eggs. I just want to be thorough so you understand what I'm actually doing. But what I'm doing right now, the way I'm designing this is I touched on earlier that you can design an engine that is not efficient. You can do anything. You can design all sorts of things in this game, and you can make them all terribly inefficient. Sometimes you will make them so badly that they won't work, or they'll explode. What I'm doing right now is I know that these cylinders, which are the main sort of blocks of the engine, aside from the crankshaft, they need to be connected to the crankshaft or blocks that are connected to it, and they're boosted by connections to exhaust and carburetors. These are basically well, in a nutshell, these are the parts that are making the power. Everything else is boosting them in some way or another. We'll put the carburetors between them because they actually get a bonus for like an adjacency bonus with being next to the cylinders. Now, the carburetor provide extra oxygen and fuel to the cylinders, increasing their power capacity. The effects are stackable. That's why I've placed it so that each one of these is next to 2. These blocks will connect to cylinders that are below, left, right, forwards, and backwards. That's just telling you where it needs to be. Now, the engine's own fuel tanks, what it mentioned about its internal fuel supply, this is what gives it that. And these need to be connected to the carburetors. So we're going to put one on each side like that. So it's increased the fuel efficiency of the engine. These will draw oil or fuel from my fuel stores, and then the engine will use the fuel that's in these internal tanks. Next, we want a supercharger. Now, the supercharger also connects to the carburetor. So actually, first we want to finish off this little engine. I've made enough room to have 2 sets of the cylinders and the carburetors. And then the front ones of the carburetors, we want the supercharger. Now, just to go over the description, supercharger blocks provide extra oxygen and fuel to the carburetor blocks, increasing the power capacity of connected cylinders. So we want to place these there. So there we are. It's got nice adjacency bonuses now. The final thing we want is exhausts. Exhaust blocks provide extra power capacity and fuel efficiency to cylinders. So we want these to be positioned there and there and there and there. You can actually build further up, and you can build further out as well. You just can't put any more crankshafts. Basically, the engine needs to be traveling down in this direction. It can only really grow in this direction to a large degree. It's just that I could have further adjacency bonuses, even out one more to the side of most of these blocks. But that should be a pretty powerful engine, honestly, for what we're going to be doing. Now, we are going to want some controls so that we can actually direct our vessel. And we are going to do that by adding a rudder first and foremost. There. Oh, actually, that was a propeller. Damn it, I want a rudder. There we are. There we go. There's our little rudder, so that'll give us the ability to steer the boat. And now we want propellers to give us the ability to actually move forward. But the only problem with these is that they're a little bit high up. We want them a little bit deeper into the water. I suppose those ones aren't too bad where they are, but we do want a few more a little bit deeper down. Now, I'm certainly no shipwright, so I'm probably designing this in a terrible way. And anyone who actually knows their stuff about how to build a boat and even how to sail one, because I've never sailed a ship, certainly not a ship, never even sailed a boat. I rowed a boat, but that's about it. But your eyes might be bleeding at what I'm doing right now. I can only say sorry that I am not as worldly wise as you are. Now, the last thing we want is an actual method for controlling. Now, there are two types of controls. Well, there's three, but we'll just go with these ones for now rather than get complicated. The vehicle controller, which you can toggle between different states. This is particularly useful if your vehicle can move from different mediums. So it can be a boat or it can be a spaceship. You can actually get into space. It's not just the air. You can actually go really high up, and we're talking like suborbital. So you've got ships, air, there's even land and space, or a ship's wheel. We'll go with the ship's wheel since this is a boat. And we'll place the ship's wheel about there. It's huge, comically large, considering everything else. But we also want a chair just in front of it, and that will allow us to anchor ourselves to the chair. So even when the crazy stuff is going on and bits are flying off and getting blown up all over the place, we'll still be stuck glued to our chair, possibly terrified, or maybe just elated, kind of like a Kerman. But, right, the next thing we want, and this is the part that I'm really kind of looking forward to. In fact, let me just pull this back a little bit, because we're going to need a bit more room. There we go. Now, what we want is a drill. We are going to go and make a simple weapon, because I am not satisfied with running away. I refuse. Now, drill. This block is the core component of a drill. Add power input and torque amplifiers to increase performance and extensions or drill bits in front. Right, well, we want this about there. That is the basic part of our drill. Now, this is going to run off the engine's power. So we are going to want to be careful with this. But we want a drill extension. This extension allows you to expand the gap between the drill and its drill bit. There are drill extension horizontal splitter and vertical splitters that allows you to have more drill bits. But we're going to focus on, well, we might have a couple of different drill bits actually. But these are going to come out through the front of our ship. So there we go. We've built this is basically an axle, if you like. Let's have a horizontal splitter. Yeah, let's go, because this is a fairly wide ship. So let's have a couple of different components. There we go. We'll build out a few extensions, not too many. And then another horizontal splitter. There we are. Now that gives us a pretty good situation, I think, for our drill bits. Now, what the drill bits themselves, we can have small drill bits or large drill bits. This drill bit attaches to a drill or a drill extension and will damage a large area than the small drill bit, but has a lower armor piercing value. That isn't ideal, but we're going to go with the main drill bit there right in the front, and then we're going to have the smaller drill bits on the sides. So we're going to have two there. So these have particularly high armor piercing properties. In fact, you know what? Let's have another extension. We'll have one more there, and then a small drill bit on the front there. So it's just in line with the large drill bit. And we'll have large drill bits on the sides as well. So this thing can chow into any ship it comes up against. However, now, this thing isn't going to do very much of anything right now because it's got no real power. The power input, this block, increases the rate at which the drill accelerates. It is good for returning the drill bit to a maximum speed whilst drilling. We want a lot of these, as you can imagine. Let's build these out, and then down along the side of the ship. About there. That'll do. Now, we've also got the torque amplifier. This block increases the maximum speed of the drill and its armor piercing value. So we want a lot of these as well. We want this to really, really work against our enemies. But as you can see here now, my engine is having kittens right now, trying to keep up with that. But now the drill bits are running at maximum speed. So that is all working pretty well. Let's remove that bit, actually. No, we'll keep that bit there. Right. The drill bits are now running at full speed, and the engine is barely worrying about anything. So that's not too bad. So I guess it isn't too much of a strain on the engine. It's just it needed a bit more time to warm up. We could expand the engine a little bit though, and I'm sort of tempted to do that. In fact, yes, let's do that. The way we're going to do that is by doing this. Place that there, and then we're going to connect the engine up. There we go. And if we look at the engine, it'll tell us that it is currently turned on. Maximum power is 85.7 to blah, 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 blah. Current usage is 0. Fuel use per power usage gives us the basic fuel efficiency. Internal supplies, how much fuel it has. Crankshafts, cylinders. Now, what we want is to continue building this design. Now, I am at risk, very big risk actually, considering, of doing too much and having a bot, or rather a vehicle, that costs too much for the mission. However, I appear to have messed up these air supplies, so let me just get rid of that and move these around a little bit. Let's have one there. There we go. That has gotten rid of all the water that was leaking in. Fantastic. Now, what you can do is you can go here, you can click on V, Constructible Info. We are very close to the maximum for this particular design. That is not good. Because right now, everything is on show. If anything attacked us, we would be more or less doomed. But let's give this a little bit of a spin and see how this works right now. So, let's anchor the camera. Actually, no, I'd rather be in first-person mode. When you near any component, you can start interacting with it. So until I get close to the wheel, I can't actually control the ship. Press Q, I am going to connect myself to the seat, and then I'm going to pull my camera out a little bit, and we can actually see about moving around. Up in the top left, it's telling me how to control it. H to turn one way, K to the other, J to go into reverse, and as you can see, as I ramp up the engine, because it's more of an analog, it isn't digital, you know, forwards or back. The longer you hold it down, the faster you're going to try and move in that direction. And likewise now forwards, and we can actually turn left and right thanks to the rudder. T and G at the same time will just flat out stop the vessel. So there we go. So it can move. It doesn't move quickly, and that is an enormous problem considering why we are building this ship. But oh well. This will hopefully at least do some damage to someone and thus gain us some EXP. Now I am going to use... which one is the most cheap? Metal blocks, but they're heavy. I'm not really sure I want that. Let's go for the lightweight alloy blocks. I would like... let's see. I would actually like alloy beams. I want to cover this part of the ship so that it's nice and safe. Is this too far? Yeah. Oh, no. Actually, it would be fine. Right. We want to get some alloy armor on the top of our vessel. I know we went to all of that effort to make it nice and light on the inside, and then we're just filling it with armor. Right. And we'll use F then to fill this. Okay. Now, that should give us a fair bit of armor on the top there. How has that affected the cost of this? Oh, my lord. That is stupidly stupidly expensive. There is no way we can use this. Okay, fair enough. I was really hoping that we would be okay to use the alloy, but alas, no. The penny pinchers in the Admiralty would rather us die than have good armor. Damn them. Also, I forgot to turn back on the mirror. Let me do that, and then that will make deleting these components much, much easier. Right, what I would like to do is put plenty of wood over here instead. There we go. And if we press F now, let's see how that has affected it. It's not affected it nearly as badly. Surprise, surprise, it's wood. go. And we'll just get this area sealed in a little bit more at the back here. The main thing I don't want to get hit is the engine, for obvious reasons. It's not so much that I'm worried about it exploding, though I should be. It's more that if that does go down, then both our drill and our movement stop. And once we stop moving in this mission, you are pretty much dead. So I'm just going to cover all of this in wood, at least that part of the engine. I suppose we could have a little area here so I can actually see out. Though I suspect that this is just making it easier for things to kill us. But we will do it anyway. Just for the sake. Now, I'm not making a particularly good robot here. It's just because I suddenly realized how little points I have left to spend. So I'm just doing my best with what I've got. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. In fact, I think that looks very good. Right, finally, let's get some glass blocks. And we'll apply these here. We'll have a little bit of a window. I am going to leave this part open, though. Actually, I'll get rid of this as well. Just so that I can jump out if I need to. Because I'm going to have to get out and jump onto the other vessel. If we actually make it there, though, honestly, I'm sort of feeling that this vessel is pretty much just there to do damage at this point. Right, we cannot afford to do anything else. It will either have to work or it will not, and I will be terribly embarrassed. But this is how you build things, in creative at least. If you're in the campaign, you have resources to consider because you haven't got infinite supplies. But that is good enough. We're going to go ahead and save this vehicle, and we're going to save it over a first stage speeder, but that would actually be a lie because it's not first stage drill. And let's, well, we'll rename that one to that, I suppose. Let's just make sure that that has actually saved, because I would hate to say, oh yeah, it's saved, and then go to load it up, and then nothing happens. But there we go. Okay, so finally, it is time to jump out. No, I'll just touch on something very, very quickly. You notice that the textures are kind of connected right now. If you don't like that, you can hit, which one was it? F10. And it will change the rendering, so it's all uniform. If you don't particularly like it to have the kind of chaotic look that it has there, you can turn that off. But that all said and done, this is our vessel. Hopefully we can actually do some damage to something before they shoot us to death. They will try. They will probably succeed. But let's jump out of here. So back to the main menu with us. Now, as I've mentioned, I have spent an awful lot of time in the campaign, and that is certainly where I find the most fun in the game. And hopefully once that's fully connected up with multiplayer, it is going to be extremely fun. But I am probably going to do a second video just touching on the first half hour, first 40 minutes of the campaign missions, or maybe even take you out to see my current campaign. But let's go to the mission loadout now. We want to bring along, not the Mine Marine, that's my little missile sub that I used for farming EXP in this mission. We're going to take out the first taste drill, and if this isn't successful, maybe I will take out the Mine Marine. Right, we want to take that along with us. Oh my lord. We are actually a little bit over, and the reason why we're a little bit over is because I'm bringing along some resources. I'm going to tone those down a little bit. Now, the reason why I'm bringing along resources is so that I can repair in the field with my repair tentacles. But realistically, you might not want to bring those along. It's certainly affecting the score multiplier. That isn't a big issue. It's just for your, if you want to try and complete it with the least amount, the smallest bot or the least amount of points spent, then you'd be using that as your guide. But I am ready. Let's just make sure that the loadout is set up. Yep. Okay. Let us see how this does. All right. Now, one of the things that took me the longest to get used to this is that whenever I'm commanding a vehicle, I have to take my hand off my mouse and move to the other key. And right now, my engine is going crazy because it was spinning up the drill bits. Ow! Bloody missiles! No! Oh, this is bad. Right, those blue lines, as I've mentioned, are the AI's sort of pathfinding. It's targeting me with those blue lines. The white arcs are the trajectory predictions of the gun turrets. Most of my area is already gone. Damn it. The bullets that are coming out have trails of different colors, and they show you what type of bullets they are. A white trail is just a regular bullet, and attack! We just ran into a ram, which did a bit of damage to us. But as you can see, we've done an enormous damage to one of their ships. Come on, drill bits. Speed up. I want to destroy this ship utterly. That's right. Keep going through. Let's zoom in. Have a proper look. Oh, that explosion there. I just hit his ammo somewhere. Or maybe in an engine. I just took a huge chunk out of that ship. And right now, loads of EXP is coming my way. But I'm kind of jammed. I need to reverse. Need to reverse very much so. You see those little green sort of experience orbs coming out? And I think this ship is gone. There's a little bit of a kind of a halo right now. Blue effects and red effects. And they kind of show you what's been damaged and what can be repaired. Now, bringing along the resources I brought along allowed me to repair my drill, because that was pretty badly messed up from hitting the fuel supply. Sorry, the ammo supply. And you'll notice a part of that ship is currently on mine. I don't want your ship on mine. How dare you? I need to reverse to get into position to hit you properly. Thankfully, my propellers are doing quite fine, because the drills have been spun up properly. My engine is fully working on getting my propellers moving, and we're basically sinking this ship and running over it in the water. That is fantastic. It looks easy at the moment, and that's because I'm using a ridiculously OP weapon. The drills are phenomenal. The obvious and pretty enormous drawback is that it can't do anything at range. Ow! We just got hit by a broadside. And there we go. There goes your ammo. Fantastic. Ow, get off my ship. Really? Oh, actually, no, stay there. Ha-ha! I have gained armor. I am... Oh, really? He's getting EXP for blowing up his friend. Ouch. That hurt. I would very much like it if we could reverse a little bit, maybe get unstuck, turn around, and hopefully not get hit by this cannon blast. Wow, we just sailed underneath most of it. You'll notice some of them are bouncing off my armor. Now, what I was talking about right at the beginning before I got distracted was the colors of the projectiles. A white trail means it's just a regular bullet, and all of these are. A blue trail means it's armor piercing, and you notice how some of these are just bouncing off my wooden hull. Armor piercing would go straight through, though there are different levels of armor piercing, certainly. Red trails mean it's explosive. But these can combine. Sometimes you'll see purple trailed bullets, and that means it's both armor piercing and explosive. And I'm taking such a huge amount of damage right now. I need to get in close. You've done damage to yourself, or something has shot you. You might have even shot yourself trying to shoot me. Right, let's see if we can't get underneath and behind you where your cannons can't hit me, and I can just tear apart your engines and your fuel. Oh, this is glorious. This is absolutely glorious. That is the best possible position I could have gotten to. And I will just happily let my drill bit tear you apart. I would say tear you a new one, and that is actually kind of what I'm doing, but it's a little bit crude. Alright, let's get in there and do as much damage as we can. More and more of the ship is exploding. There's secondary explosions going off all over the place, and I'm fairly certain I'm about to hit the fuel supply. Or the engine, even. It may be the engine, or is that... Looks like... I can't actually tell. Yeah, the engine block. So we are now crippling this vessel. Let's get back a little bit, though, because we really do not want to be on the receiving end of another broadside. Now, where is our ally? Where have we got to get to? There is someone that we're meant to be going and helping that I'm not doing. Oh dear, oh dear. Alright, it's over there. Okay, I've seen... Stop, stop! Damn it! I've just done something stupid. Let's get back out there. I am taking a huge amount of damage because I'm basically reversing into the line of fire! Oh, that humanity. I need to get over there, though, quite badly. And I need to really badly turn my ship around. Because he's not going to be able to steer to continually bring me into firing range. Alright, let's try and move. No? Oh, I'm using the wrong buttons. No wonder I wasn't doing anything. Again, this... I'm a little bit put off by the control scheme for the vehicles, in that you can control a vehicle and you can control your avatar at the same time. The way they do that is having WASD for your avatar and, well, Uhujk for your vehicle. And it's not particularly intuitive. Oh, that's going to hurt if that hits. That's probably going to hit. Let's try and... Oh, no. Actually, it's falling short. Ha-ha! You predicted me in the wrong place. Oh, this one might not, though. No, that one's a little bit closer. We might actually be almost at the edge of his range. But if we can make it over there to the other salvage vessel, then we will have won this mission. That'll be the point where I wrap up this first episode. I will be doing a second, I think. And I will actually play through the early part of the campaign. I'll start a new campaign and we'll just give it a bit of a spin. But... and I'll actually get to show off building proper turrets and missile launchers and things. Because right now I was playing to a very specific amount of resources. And my lord, they're far away. And they're both in the air. So there's nothing I'm going to be able to do. They are just taking apart the thing that I'm meant to recapture. I'm not too happy about that, if I'm perfectly honest with you. Because they may actually blow it up before I get there. But in the campaign, it's a lot more interesting, in my opinion. I mean, certain missions, I'm sure, storyline missions that is, I'm sure will be quite fun because they'll put you in a difficult situation. But I just prefer not to have restrictions on how I play. And the campaign doesn't restrict me in any way. It just says, these are the bad guys. Well, some of them like you, but ultimately you've got to crush them all. So eventually you're going to have to break alliances, but... in any case, these are the bad guys. They're trying to kill you. Those are the not bad guys. They're trying to help you. And you've got a fortress. You're gathering resources. You have got to build up your own bots. You can have AI-controlled bots that you design yourself, and you give the AI parameters on how it should act. And I just really like it. Let's not steer my enormous drill bits of death into the thing I'm trying to capture. That would be tragic. But as soon as we're close, in fact, we are close. Wow, did you just... what on earth happened there? I think he launched a missile at me, but my vehicle wasn't quite as warm. Basically, if it's a heat seeker, then it would have been seeking heat, as you might imagine. And if the other guy was hotter than me, then, well, hello to friendly fire. Ah, look at that. Huge propellers. But there we go. Score 12. Yeah, I deserve that. I actually completely deserve that. But that is the first episode of this first taste. I will, as I said, do another one. I'll probably only do one more. But that will cover the beginning of the campaign. And I'll actually show off the custom weapons, which are really interesting. The custom cannon, the custom torpedoes, well, missiles. Torpedoes are just missiles that go in the water, effectively, in this game. And just show you how the sort of resource gathering works and how the campaign works on the whole. But I do hope you've enjoyed this first taste of From the Depths. As I've said, it is available on Steam Early Access. It's about £14.99, which I think is around 20 or 25 US dollars. Someone will have to correct me on that, though. I don't know what the conversion rate is at the moment. But I am having a huge amount of fun with this. I'm so happy that a couple of people suggested I check it out, and it is in constant development at the moment. So there's a lot of interesting stuff going on the forums, and the developer is actually really, really approachable, just chatting on the forums all the time. So you get a real sense that your input is being taken on board when you chat with him. But that is it for this part of the first taste. I do hope you enjoyed. I hope you will be joining me in the second part. But until then, and as always, do take care.